Hello, everybody. It's Walter, your favorite historian, educator, professor, social studies extraordinaire, and blue-collar scholar. Today's date is December 8th, 2025. This video is entitled Reflections of a Historian. So yesterday, when I was sitting on my layover, I was standing outside smoking a cigarette, talking to a patron, and a young woman comes up to us asking for directions on how to get to Penn Station. She was there to watch the Ravens game here in Baltimore that we lost, by the way, to the Steelers. No surprise there. But in any case, we proceed to give her directions on how to get to Penn Station. And she, volunteers the fact that she's Canadian. Instantly, I was like, okay, now it's time to ask her some questions. And I do. First thing I ask her is, what province is she from? Okay. And she was like, of course, she's assuming that I probably have no idea of the provinces in Canada, don't know anything about Canada, government, culture, or anything of the like. She just proceeds to tell me that she's from, part of Canada directly north of Maine, far, far to the north. So I said, okay, so you're from New Brunswick. When I said that, her eyes lit up. She looked like a deer in the headlights. She was like, oh my gosh. No one has ever heard of New Brunswick. I can't believe you've heard of them before. And I said, absolutely. I live and breathe history, geography, law, political science, my dear. All of that stuff. I teach it. And that also shocked her because she would never presume that a bus operator is also a college professor. The two definitely are something that can be blended and put, in the same seating section. All right. They are not mutually exclusive. All right. They are integrated. They can work together. And so then, we proceeded to talk a little bit more about Canada. And I told her, I have taught my students at university, how the Canadian parliamentary system works. And it's not easy to explain parliamentary government to Americans. Canada is a parliamentary democracy with the British monarch as the official head of state. But of course, Canada has a prime minister who is the head of government. The prime minister is an official who is essentially the leader of the majority party in the House of Commons. You don't elect the prime minister directly off the street like you elect the president here in the U.S. When they have a general election, you elect members of parliament, okay, that represent a political party. And whichever party has the most seats, whoever's the leader of that party becomes the prime minister, the head of government in Canada. Did you know that? That's how it works. And so, she was, proceeding to add the stuff that I was talking about, add to the stuff I was talking about with respect to parliamentary government. And she made a joke at the end, when I said most Americans don't understand parliamentary government, she said, that's funny because most Canadians don't either, honestly. And I thought that was hilarious, And I told her, explain the political differences here versus Canada. Of course, in Canada, the color red represents the Liberal Party, the left-wing progressive party up there, their version of the Democratic Party. And blue represents the Conservative Party up there, their version of the former Republican Party in the U.S. I don't know what this shit is we have now here, but it ain't the GOP. But yeah, and so, of course, in America, red is conservative and liberal progressive is blue. She wasn't aware of that, so obviously she's definitely just here as a visitor in the U.S. But she was surprised, honestly, just as an American, how much I knew about Canada and its government, its economy, and its culture. But one thing that I didn't ask her, didn't think about it to the last minute, but she was already, on her way by that point, was, do you approve of the Canadian healthcare system, which I have always admired, which I honestly think would work here in America as a single-payer healthcare system that we would already become used to in how it's designed. It's centrally administered, but it's the province is essentially executed, kind of like Medicaid, all right? Of course, it's administered by the federal government, but the states have a wide range of latitude to decide who goes on their Medicare rolls and who does not, okay? And I wanted to get her approval of Canadian Medicare, their version of single-payer healthcare system, which, is centrally administered, centrally funded, with private private sector providing the actual care and treatment. So there's a healthy balance there, to lighten the fears of some people who are scared of universal health care in the U.S., that it's going to be so substandard and subpar. But I really wish I had gotten to ask her that, her perspective on it. But my thoughts on it, if I had to answer for her, is that she still lives in Canada, and obviously it's not so terrible, even if it is, which I highly doubt. She still lives there. She has not immigrated to the U.S., so obviously the healthcare system there cannot be as bad anyway, as people like to make universal healthcare seem. Because however you might feel about universal healthcare, at least everybody has coverage. You don't have people going bankrupt over medical bills. And if you think that's a good thing, you have some moral issues. But yeah, so it was an interesting conversation, and I really appreciate it, because you don't see too many Canadians walking around the hood in Baltimore City. Okay, and then I forgot, she also asked, are Ubers legal here? That question kind of confused me, because I didn't know it was anywhere in the U.S. Maybe they're illegal in places in Canada, but in the U.S., if Uber is allowed to operate up there, I don't know. But in the U.S., I don't know of any places where Ubers are illegal. If you do, help me out here, because I was like, huh? Yeah, they're definitely legal in the hood in Baltimore City. So yeah, that was just my beginning of my evening last night, just as my shift was starting. Yeah, it's really a pleasure getting to meet so many different types of people from all over the place in what I do, and interacting with them about their government and culture. Just wanted to share that with you all, because I thought it was very, very interesting, very wholesome and fulfilling. It actually made my night. All right, I definitely had a good night for the rest of my shift after that. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave them in the comments down below, and I'm happy to engage in positive, civil, peaceful discussion. If you would be so kind, please like this video, please share it, leave good, fruitful commentary, and we'll all have a great day. Thanks for listening to me. Enjoy your cup of coffee. Hope I gave you a little bit of laughter and smiles through this video. Take care of yourselves, stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you at the next one. Professor Shelton, the Blue Collar Scholar, out.